Hello, everybody. My name is Magali Lopes. I'm from Brazil and I'm from Wild, Brazil. And I'm really glad to talk to you about something that it's really special for me. So, since I was young, I was very curious. How can we human beings are so full of power, are so full of capabilities and abilities? So, I went in the university, I graduated in psychology, and some of my questions were answered. But I decided to go deeper during the pandemic time, and I wrote a book which will be launched next year. So I decided to discuss about how can we dialogue, how can we use action learning to solve um, the most pressing needs of the 21st century, which is dialogue and connections. So this is what the things that I'm going to share with you, and some of points of my research I did to discuss about that. So what I'm going to share with you, and it is dialogue and connections, how action learning can help to meet the most pressing needs of the 21st century. To start talking about that, the question that came in my mind was how can we, where to start? Where to start? And I decided to start from the neuroscience. So to share some of the research I put in my book, I decided to share with you um, another Amisha Job, a neuroscientist from, she's also a professor from Miami University. She made a very special study from with many leaders, organization leaders, and she was talking about how can we use our attention in this world, very volatile, complex, uncertain, and whatever. And the results, some of the results was, first, our attention span is limited. Yes, right. But it's also a superpower. And she said that in some way we, because of we are overwhelmed, because we are stressed, because we have so many threats and emotions around us, we put our attention in not a good position. So she said that to expand our horizons, our possibilities, we must paying attention, we have the conscience that our attention needs to be in the right place. This is the one thing that she discovered. Also, in this moment of the world, which is insert, complex, very volatile, and whatever, you know that we have the tendency to be negatives, so to be critics, to be to have those things in our minds. So of course we do have those things, but also she said that we must keep in our minds that our interest and our attention must be something that I can put in the right place, which is of our interest. But also, she said that attention is very important for create connections, to create empathy, and to create collaboration. That thing was very important for us here because without attention, we don't have a dialogue. So paying attention it is one of the ways which is we that we can show to others um, care, love, and love. So that's why paying attention is so important. But it's not the only thing that think it is important. The other thing is we have a social brain. We are social connect. We do have a social connections in our brain. So our longing for connection is one of the power of our needs. Better, our longing for connection is as powerful as our needs for food and shelter. This part of our social brain is more recent as well as unique to humans. So we do have the necessity to be connected to another person, to another people. So social connection make a better brain. So we do have this necessity. So if you have attention, which is a kind of way to show care and love, and if we are a, we have this necessity to be connected to another person, what's the point? We can also dialogue. We can be in contact with each other. We can discuss difficult things, right? Wrong. And I'm going to share you another study. It's from Harvard Business Review, a survey they made with more than 1,000 Americans and about called Dialogue Project. And in this dialogue project, 70% of the Americans said they have difficulty to talk about politics, about race, about guns. They do have difficulty to talk about that. 82% was concerned about the lack of respect. They said people don't look at me. They look at the cell phone, but they don't pay attention of me. 50% said, I don't want to put attention. I don't want to talk about transparent conversations or very clear conversation. It's okay for me to be like that. 50%. And only 25% agreed that dialogue. They were open to uh, to different people and with different ways of view, points of view. Only 25%. So dialogue, it's a very, very issue. And if we can have this survey in different countries, not only Americas, we could understand that we do also have problems to dialogue with others, to have a clear, transparent conversation, right? So that's why we do have this Dalai Lama sentence. In human societies, there will be always difference of views and interests. Yes, we do have. But the reality today is that we are all interdependent and we have to coexist on a small planet. Therefore, the only sensible and intelligent way to resolve differences and clashes of interests, whatever between individuals or nations, it is through dialogue. So we must dialogue with each other. We must have a conversation. That's why it's so important. This is a very pressing need. So connection and dialogue. Okay, and the new science proves that we are social beings. We just need to recover our factor settings. So we can connect to another and constantly evolve. So we are social beings. We can do that. We just need to recover our factor settings. And what factor settings we are talking about? What factor skills? And I will bring you three factors skills that I am very interested for. The power of ask, the power to listen, the power to collaborate. Those things are very special for human beings. We do have the possibility to ask, we do have the power to listen, we do have the power to collaborate. So, talking about the power to ask, it is, Milan Kundera said, it is precisely the questions for which there are no answers that mark the limits of human possibilities and that delineate the boundaries of our existence. So questions are so important for us human beings. So the thing that it is very important. We cannot live without questions. This is one thing that us human beings can make and we can understand better. So if we have this power, we have this possibility to ask, why we do avoid questions? So I had four possibilities here. Of course, we could discover more, but the lack of incentive, fear, hurry, and lack of practice. People sometimes do not practice better questions. They do not pay attention in which questions they made in a very important meeting. Or sometimes, oh, I'm not asking this question for him because I will have time to answer, to discuss, and I don't have this time. Let's move. Or sometimes people are very scared to make a question which could be understood that, oh, he doesn't know anything. So fear could could I could avoid question because of my fears. And sometimes we do not grow up in a house which questions are very we can make questions to things. So the lack of incentive, or you work in a company that questions are not allowed because the power of the leader are very important and you cannot ask your leader, for example. So there are many things that we can understand why questions are avoided. So we do have this power, but sometimes we do not use that. Also, we do have the power to listen. The sense of the dialogue is to listen in order to understand. We must understand other people, comprehend their views and opinions and the world so that they too can hear and understand us. This way, with respect and dignity, together we will be able to do good to all beings. So this is a Buddhist monk who said that. And we do have this um, survey, which was showed in the New York Times, what was the characteristics of a bad listener. And one of the things they said, the typical answer was an empty stare. So excessive talking, interrupting, look in the phone, answer as narcissistic or confusing way. So when we are talking with another person and we do not listen, we are a bad listener. And when, for example, when someone is talking to you and you are listening something, or you are moving with your cell phone, it's not a good way to listen. But also we do have hindered by listening is also hindered by lack of incentive, fear, hurry, and lack of practice. So four things also that hindered listening in those words. And another thing that I want to say is the power to collaborate. Life in network brings about so much transformation because it has the same exponential growth as bacteria in a petri dish. So this was a futurist who said that collaboration it's a very exponential, could be an exponential thing because it's really important. And that Deloitte survey, they said 93% of the organization recognize the importance of uh, a sense of belonging to increase the performance of the employees. But only 13% consider themselves able to create this environment of respect, inclusion, and collaboration, according to Deloitte. So they agree, they recognize that the sense of belonging, it is important. It is a special thing that can bring connections and comfort for the employees. But also, they don't know how to do that happen. So this is very interesting thing. And what we can see, it's a should set to sex for experience enrich man's ability to enjoy the company of others through the expansion of his feelings towards himself and towards others. So what we can say about the collaboration, it's a movement, connection, and action. We cannot collaborate without action. We cannot collaborate without movement. We cannot collaborate without connection. So the three things are very important for us. And so the power of listening, the power of questions, to make questions, and power to collaborate are three human beings' power that we do not pay for anybody to use. We do have those powers in us. In every human beings, we can do that powers. We can activate those powers. But when we are together, we can use those powers uh, in a different ways. So I will talking how can action learning use those powers in a potential, uh, very special. How can action learning help develop all these skills? Because we do have that possibility, but also I said that some possibilities, some skills are not developed very well because we do not have practice, because we have fear, because we blah, blah, blah. So how can action learning use that? Simply that we use those powers in a different, together in action learning. So we have a challenge, we have a group, we have a coach, but when we have questions, the human power is nothing less than the soul of action learning. So questions are the soul of the action learning. So it's basic. Without questions, we do not have action learning, right? When we have questions, we have to listen. We are called to listen because you make questions. Everybody can make questions. So everybody can listen to answers. Action. However, the things that dialogue does not lead the action has never participated in action learning. So action is very important in learning, of course. And we do that in a very uh, uh, moment with the attention is full of attention because when the group are not in attention, the coach has the permission to call the group, to ask for the group about the lack of the attention, and to give this quality, to put this quality in action. So we do have questions We do have the power of listening together. We do have the power to collaborate together when we are doing action learning. So the easiest and the most affordable way to access new knowledge and seek different perspective is through these intrinsic skills that atrophied and they may be are still recoverable human powers. We are invited to create our hardest the power of machines and technology as whole beings. The real resolution lies in reconnecting with our most human powers, not only the ones that came from recognizing what our brain can create, but also our sensitivity and our ability to collaborate, live together, nature, nurture, and co-create. And by exercising questions, listening, collaboration, you will come to see the world yours and that of the others from another place, much more generous, regenerative, and prosperous. Your way of being changes, your relationship are transformed, your performance gains new purpose. Action learning is one of the ways to rescue and cultivate the human powers necessary to respond to the complex problems and afflict us so much. So dialogue and connection are basic needs of times we live in. Action learning is an answer to create a space where dialogue and connection can help, a place where we can relearn to use our human power. So when we are doing action learning, we are using our human powers. So it's a way to reconnect to that, to learn how to do that better, and to learn how to do that better with others. So that's why action learning are so powerful to really reconnect those necessities, the things necessity of the world. So I really believe in dialogue. I really believe that with dialogue and connection, we can transform the world around us. So you can transform your world, and also we can transform our world. So I am very glad to share this with you, and I hope we can use more those powers in our relationships, using action learning to do that. And I really hope that with action learning, we can meet action learning can meet the most pressing needs of the 21st century for sure. So use action learning to do that. Use action learning to reconnect our human powers. And doing that, we are creating a very special world. So thank you so much for being with me. Keep in touch and hope to see you soon.